Welcome to the Elevate Life Project with your host, Michael Cohan. At the Elevate Life Project, we are dedicated to inspiring people to achieve their goals and live their dreams to their highest potential. Aim higher. Elevate your life. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Elevate Life Project. I'm your host, Michael Cohan. And as always, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me today. Whether you're listening on your way to work, or walk, or just carving out a quiet moment for yourself, I appreciate you being here. Now let's get into it. Today, I want to talk about what I think is one of the most important conversations we can have. And it's a concept that gets thrown around a lot, but I don't think most people really understand what it means. I'm talking about intentional living, living with intention, living on purpose. You've probably heard those phrases before, but what does it actually look like in real life? What does it feel like? And more importantly, are you doing it? Because here's what I've noticed, and I say this with love. Most people aren't. Most people are living on autopilot. They wake up, they go through the routine, they react to whatever comes at them during the day. They go to sleep, and they do it all over again the next day. And they're not bad people for doing that. It's just what happens when you don't make a conscious decision about how you want to live. You end up drifting. You end up just dealing with whatever shows up, putting out the fires, handling emergencies, responding to other people's needs. And before you know it, years have gone by and you're looking around thinking, how did I get here? This isn't what I wanted. And that's the difference between living intentionally and living by default. Living by default means you're letting life happen to you. Living intentionally means you're choosing what happens. You're deciding the kind of person you want to be, the kind of life you want to live, and then you're holding yourself to do it every single day. It doesn't mean your life isn't perfect. It doesn't mean nothing goes wrong. It just means you're in the driver's seat instead of the passenger seat. And that changes everything. So let's talk about where this starts, because I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. It starts with one simple truth. Your choice matters. And I mean really matter. Every single decision you make, big or small, is steering your life in a direction. The food you eat, the people you spend time with, how you spend your mornings, what you do when you're bored, how you respond when something goes wrong. All of those are choices. And those choices, stacked on top of each other, day after day after day after day, are what creates the life you're living right now. And here's the part that I think is really empowering. Your greatest power as a human being is the power of decision. That's it. That's the whole game. You get to decide. And I know some of you might be thinking, but Michael, you don't understand my situation. I've been through things. I've got baggage. I've got limitations. And I hear you. I'm not dismissing any of that. But here's what I want you to understand. Your past doesn't have to dictate your future. It just doesn't. You can look at the same world you've been looking at your whole life and decide to see it differently. You can choose a new perspective. You can choose a new response. You can choose a new direction. And the moment you do that, everything starts to shift. Now, once you accept that your choices matter, the next question becomes, well, what am I choosing? What am I aiming for? And this is where a lot of people get stuck because they're never actually sat down and thought about what they want their life to look like. They know what they don't want. They can tell you everything that's wrong. But if you ask them, what's your dream life? They freeze. They don't have an answer, and you can't hit a target you haven't set. So here's what I want you to do, and I want you to actually do this, and just think about it. I want you to describe your dream life in detail, and I mean be bold about it. Don't hold back. Don't filter yourself. Don't start with, well, that's not realistic, or I can never do that. Just dream. Think about your ideal day from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. How you spend your time. What kind of work you'd be doing. Who would be there with you? Where would you live? What would your finances look like? What would your health look like? What would your relationship be like? Give yourself permission to go there, because until you know what you're building toward, you're just putting bricks down randomly and holding and hoping they turn into something beautiful. And once you have that picture, even if it's rough, even if it's just the feeling, the next piece is understanding your value. Because intentional living isn't just about goals and achievements, it's about alignment. It's about making sure that your life and the life you're building actually reflects who you are at your core. Your values are your compass. They tell you which direction to go when you're faced with a decision. They keep you grounded when things get chaotic. And when you're living in alignment with your values, there's this sense of peace and rightness that you can't get any other way. But here's the thing. A lot of people don't actually know what their values are. They've never taken the time to identify them. They have a vague sense of what matters to them, but they haven't gotten specific. And when you're not clear on your values, you end up making decisions based on convenience or fear or what other people expect of you. And that's not intentional. That's reactive. So take the time, sit down, and ask yourself, what do I actually stand for? What matters most to me? Is it family, freedom, creativity, integrity, service, growth? There's no right answer, but there is your answer, and knowing it makes every decision in your life clearer. Now, once you've got your vision and your values, you need a bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and that bridge is made of goals. I want you to think about the major areas of your life: your finances, your career, your relationship, your health, and set goals in each of those areas. And they don't have to be massive, life altering goals right out of the gate. They just have to point you in the right direction. Because when you have goals in the areas that matter most, you wake up every day with a sense of purpose. You know what you're working toward. And that sense of direction is one of the most powerful feelings in the world. But here's where I see a lot of people get tripped up. They set goals. They get excited for a week or two, and then life happens, and they fall right back into their old patterns. And the reason that happens is because they don't change their habits. Your habits are the engine that drives your life. Goals tell you where you want to go, but habits are what actually get you there. So once you've set your goals, ask yourself, what are two simple habits I can start that will move me in the direction of these goals? Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes early. Maybe it's going for a walk every day. Maybe it's reading for 20 minutes before bed instead of scrolling your phone. Maybe it's having honest conversations with your partner every week. Whatever it is, make it simple enough that you can actually stick with it. Because willpower runs out, motivation fades, and this leads into something that I think is really underrated when it comes to intentional living. And that's how you spend your time. Because time is one resource you can never get back. You can make more money, you can build more new relationships, you can improve your health, but you cannot get back a single minute. And most of us don't give nearly enough thought to how we're spending ours. We drift through the daily life doing whatever feels urgent or easy. And we never ask to stop and ask, is this actually the best use of my time right now? Intentional living means deliberate about your time. It means looking at your day and making choices instead of just reacting. It means asking yourself, with my dreams and my values in mind, what is the most important thing I can do right now? Not the easiest thing, not the most comfortable thing, the most important thing. And that's the difference. The question forces you to be honest with yourself. And sometimes the answer is uncomfortable. Sometimes the most important thing is the hard conversation, or the workout you've been avoiding, or the project you keep putting off. But when you choose to do the important things instead of the easy things, that's when your life starts to change. And that brings me to something I want to be real with you about, because this is where intentional living gets hard. Impulses. We all have them. That urge to grab your phone first thing in the morning, the craving for junk food when you're stressed, the desire to skip the gym because the couch looks so good, the pull to avoid a difficult task by doing something easier. Instead, those impulses feel urgent in the moment, but most of the time they're leading you in the wrong direction. They're driven by two things: the desire for pleasure and the desire to avoid discomfort, and neither of those things is good compass for your life. Intentional living is about recognizing those impulses for what they are and choosing differently. It's about saying, I see you, I feel you, but I'm not going to follow you because I know where you lead. And that takes practice. It's not easy. There are going to be days when the impulse wins, but over time, as you get better at pausing before you react, you start to realize that you have more control than you thought. You start to realize that there is a space between the impulses and the action, and that space is your power to choose. And closely related to impulses are distractions. And I want to talk about this because I think distractions are one of the biggest threats to an intentional life. We live in a world that is designed to distract us. Your phone is a distraction machine. Social media, notifications, news, alerts, text messages, they're all competing for your attention every single second of the day. And every time you give in to a distraction, you're pulling yourself away from what you were intentionally doing. But here's what's interesting: distractions aren't always obvious. Sometimes a distraction looks like something productive. You might sit down to work on your most important project, and suddenly you decide that now is the time to reorganize your desk, or answer emails, or pay a bill that isn't due for 2 weeks. Those things aren't bad in themselves, but if they're pulling you away from what actually matters in that moment, they're distractions. And intentional living means being able to recognize that and redirect yourself to what's important. It requires presence. You have to be here, now, fully engaged in what you're doing, not dwelling on the past, not worrying about the future, but right here in this moment, doing the thing that matters most. And the last piece of this is that I want to share with you is something that I think separates the people who talk about intentional living from the people who actually do it. And that's reflection. At the end of the day, I want you to take a few minutes and honestly assess how you did. Not to beat yourself up. That's not what this is about, but to learn. Ask yourself, how did I live intentionally today? What did I make good choices? Where did I pull off course? What challenged me? And what can I do better tomorrow? Because intentional living isn't about being perfect. Nobody nails this every single day. It's about awareness. It's about catching yourself when you drift and gently pulling yourself back. And every day you do that, you get a little better. You get a little bit sharper. You get a little bit more aligned with the life you're trying to create. And over time, those small daily improvements add up to something extraordinary. So let me bring this all together. Living an intentional life means you stop leaving things to chance. You stop waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right circumstances. You stop living by default and start living by design. You recognize that your choices matter, every single one of them. You get clear on what you want and what you value. You set goals. You build habits. You protect your time. You manage your impulses. You reject distractions and you reflect on your progress. And you do all that not because it's easy, but because you respect yourself and your life enough to do it. Having a life you love will never happen by accident. It just won't. But it can happen on purpose. It can happen by design. And it starts with a decision. The decision to stop drifting and start choosing. The decision to be bold enough to say, this is the life I want, and this is the person I want to be, and then showing up for that every single day. So here's my challenge to you this week. I want you to do one thing. Sit down, even if it's just for 15 minutes, and describe your dream life. Write it down. Don't judge it. Don't edit it. Don't worry about whether it's realistic. Just let yourself dream, because that vision is going to become your compass. And once you have it, everything else we talked about today will start to fall into place. All right, that's what I got for you today. If this episode resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already and leave us a review. That helps us reach more people and it truly means a lot. To write a review, open this podcast in your app and search for the Elevate Life Project podcast. And if you want to discover your true purpose, head over to the elevatelife project.com and check us out. And as always, aim higher and elevate your life. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Elevate Life Project. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like our show, please write us a review. By writing us a review, you will help raise our profile so more people can find our show. Links to our sponsors and other tools can be found in our show notes along with other useful information. For more information on our coaching classes, please visit our website at elevatelife project.com and sign up for our newsletter. Remember, aim higher. Elevate your life.